Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kashay, and you are watching Shay with the Hobbies. Today is day 4 of Kwanzaathon. It is Ujama, which means cooperative economics. So we are going to be talking about closing the wealth gap in Black America and just things that have to do with owning businesses and growing your wealth and being generous within your people and things like that. So before we get into that, I will let my lovely co-host introduce themselves.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sid Sapak, aka Sid the Kid. I write fantasy and I just like to have a lot of Sid moments. You can catch me on my YouTube channel at s.sapak, where I will be learning to use it a lot more. And I am just so happy to be here with my siblings so we can celebrate Kwanzaa. And I've been having so much fun this week.
Okay, I clicked the money twice. It did not work. Okay. What to do, everybody? My name is Grayson Wild, and I write with pride. I like diving into fantasies and into warm mugs of coffee. I am super excited about today because I like talking anything business related with other Black people. It just makes me happy. So I'm excited about that. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate y'all. And on to my big sister.
Hi, I am the Naked Firefly, author Kira L. Rose, author of The Healer's Love, and I'm excited actually to be here just because I'm up here with my siblings and I'm high on sugar. So let's do this.
Awesome. And you guys know me. I'm Kashay. I write short stories, poetry, and the occasional blog post. So again, today is Ujamaa, and that's cooperative economics, to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. So that'll be kind of like what we're focusing on and talking about today. So let's get in and say hello to everybody. We got Kat with Habaragani, and in response we say Ujamaa, which is today's principle. And then we have the lovely Becca C. Smith. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, the soul. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here for sure. Sid pulling double duty. Darian, Queen, how are you? Brit! For those of you guys who don't know, me and Brit started a new series that we'll be doing on our channel, switching off monthly, and she dropped the first video yesterday for day 3, which was Ujima, collective work and responsibility, and we talk about what Black stories seem to mean to consumers and what Black stories mean to us. It is a little bit of a long video, but it is definitely worth watching it for sure. And then Sid with the super sticker. I appreciate you so very much. Thank you so much for that. All right, so when we talk about Ujamaa, there are 3 main things that come up in that conversation, and these are directly from the official Kwanzaa website that we have been referencing in our videos and our descriptions and things like that. And so it's the concepts of shared work and wealth, economic self-reliance, and the obligation of generosity. And so when we talk about shared work and wealth, it rejects the idea of wealth for wealth's sake as opposed to wealth for the well-being for all. And so, like, to me, this generally means that it's not you're not growing wealth for the sake of being greedy. Like, it's not just stacking money to stack money that you're not going to have any ability to spend because it's not doing anything to better the community. Wealth is supposed to be used for the greater purpose of the community and not just individuals, is what this concept is talking about. And so with that, the question I have for my lovely co-host is, when does or can growing wealth become oppressive to other people?
I think when you're putting your wealth and I think when you're putting your wealth into companies that you know isn't for your community, that you know is directly hurting your community. And that includes like buying out land in areas where you know there could be homes that could have been like apartments or something that your community desperately needed, or like taking out a park to put a building that you know your community desperately needed, or basically just taking away from your community and you're putting into those companies instead of putting back into your own community.
I agree with Grayson. I think another thing when it can be oppressive to other people is when one thing that I see a lot is we always say like the rich is like 1%, but people don't know what that 1% is, and it's like a big gap from people who are in poverty. So I think when people are gaining wealth and they're not like giving back, it helps to keep people still at the bottom of the totem pole who just want a chance. So I feel like when people grow too much and don't want to help to bring people with them or give to them, that is when it hurts people the most. I feel like you should take people with you instead of them keeping them away.
I don't even know if I'm about to answer this question right. But I think it becomes oppressive when let me think of an example. Basically your Apple phone or anything that you have, how we know that all the little parts that come from different countries, and how we know that these people, they're actually going to Africa and these other countries, and forcing these people to work to get these pieces that you basically need and the materials that you need to make these pieces, but they don't get anything, or either if they do get, it's like a very small change. The majority of the time they either lose a limb or something, or health. I think that's when it becomes oppressive, because then and I'm gonna say we as spoiled Americans sometimes, or spoiled Westerners, we don't think about where all of our stuff comes from and what and who has to actually go through hell to get to it. Was I supposed to say hell? I wasn't supposed to say hell. Was I supposed to say hell?
You were fine. You're fine. So I completely agree with you guys, actually. So like, two examples for me that make me think of wealth becoming oppressive. One was, I don't know if any of you guys remember, but there's this big thing about Papa John's, and like how they had to raise their pizzas by like cents, like not $1, like less than $1, in order for him to be able to give his employees insurance. And he didn't want to do that. And to me, that is ridiculous, because Papa John's has been like what is it, with the Super Bowl advertising people for like as long as I can freaking remember. So there's no like lack of money there. Super Bowl advertising is some of the most expensive advertising there is, right? So for me, it was like, at what point does making more money or saving money or growing your wealth come at a detriment to the people who are helping you build that wealth to begin with? So these aren't even people that aren't connected to you. These are people that work for you to make your company what it is. So like that's one issue that like springs to mind. And then another for me is the idea of for-profit prisons. Like, to me, it is extremely oppressive to create atmospheres where states are constantly adding what could lead someone in jail for a felony or for a misdemeanor, solely for the purpose of keeping a specific number of bodies in prison beds. Like, that is super oppressive, and it's because of the money that comes with it. And so I think that at the point that whatever you're doing disenfranchises someone else, especially a large group of people, I think that you're doing too much. I feel like, there was like this joke of like there's like whatever level is gonna get me to that, I want to stay like 5 levels under that. So like if that's like $10 million is what that is, like I'll stay. I just need 2 million. Like I don't have to get that high because like I don't want those issues. I don't want that thought process because again, it's at what cost, right? So, I clicked on YouTube and not on StreamYard. Kat says, I see it being oppressive when small business tend to grow and then the head of the company keeps growing their paycheck but shrinking their workers' paychecks. Sadly, it happens a lot. This is very, very true. Very true. Also says, when that wealth is used to exclude others from reaching comparable levels. I would agree with that for sure. Britt says all of those things. Also, racial capitalism, extracting social and economic wealth for non-white persons. When it's not for the community but the few, the definition you put up first is a great guide. Right. All right. Okay. So it brings us to economic self-reliance. Economic self-reliance stresses self-reliance in the building, strengthening, and controlling of the economics of our own community. When I think of economic self-reliance, I think of Black Wall Street, of course. What about you guys?
That was honestly my first thought. Because I'm like, I've talked about this with my dad many times, like, how come we can't do something like that again? And the look he gave me, first of all, hurt. And he's like, we can do that again. He goes, I think we can do that again with ease. He goes, the issue is, I think it'll be a repeat of history. And I think it'll be so much worse. He's like, the second we band together to do anything, he goes, the main complaint of America is that we don't do better for our own, and we're always black on black crime, things like that. But when we actually get together and actually do something amazing and we're thriving, America is very quick to smack us right back down. So we're caught in that middle. He's like, he goes, we can definitely do it again. He's like, I think it'll be so much backlash. He's like, and that will cost lives, innocent lives. He goes, he's like, I have no answer for that. And that's something that stuck with me for years.
I'm saying and I'm muted. No, I have to agree. Like, I know that Black Wall Street was the biggest one, the one in Oklahoma. But then I also learned, I think it was last year, the year before, some years ago, that they had many Black Wall Streets, like especially in North Carolina. And then to hear about that at Wilmington, that the entire white population just literally took out almost all of the Black people there, especially those who were in power, like the senator and the mayor and stuff like that, because they wanted that land. And Wilmington is a beach resort, so there's all that money and stuff right there. I personally think that we can do it again. The problem is that one, we got to work together, and then two, that fear. I think we also got to work together and then work together to protect each other, because just like Grayson said, that mess is going to happen again. It just might be 10 times worse.
Say it. Do you have?
Well, I'm gonna put myself out there and say I don't know much about Black Wall Street, and I should. It was something that A, it was something that I wasn't taught, and B, it wasn't something that I went out to learn about on my own when I found out about it. But when I think of economic self-reliance, I think of how something that Grayson said was so right is oftentimes or not when Black people come together to do something beautiful, it is shoved and pushed down instantly. But then when something bad happens amongst Black people, it's like, see, this is what you do. So I think in order for, basically Black businesses to grow is to rely on one another and not compete with one another. We often see two people who do the same thing, well, similar things, but they have their own way to go about it. And you have people who try to make it a competitive thing or say you're better, you have to take over their company, you need to control this land basically. They're taking your clients, you need to take it back. So I think that's something that sucks, and I would love to see more black businesses in general, because what we see is we say buy black, and most companies that are black, they don't get um, acknowledged because people don't promote it. I think within your community, you have to shout it out. I feel like that helps to not that brings a community together, and you know where your clients are coming from. So yeah, that's what I think.
I definitely agree with what you guys are saying, and then I'll get into the comments, and then I will say what I was thinking. Kat says they are trying to create a sort of Black Wall Street in Georgia, and I am so scared of seeing it destroyed. We still have the constant elimination of Black-owned businesses and gentrification. I also know that Killer Mike has started Greenwood, which is based off of Black Wall Street, which happened in Greenwood in my hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it is a Black-owned bank that he has worked to create, and it's something that I'm doing more research in to find out more about. Also, it says things like redlining and neighborhoods being torn apart by roads and highways were harmful. Violence and oppressive laws are two of the main components of why we haven't seen something like Black Wall Street. One thing that I will say about this, because I believe that one of the biggest things, and this is from an economics standpoint solely. When it came to Black Wall Street was destroyed in 1921. At that time, desegregation was not a thing. Integration was nowhere on anybody's mind. So what happened was the black dollar circulated in the black community way more times than it ever does now, solely because of where we had access to spend money and to use money. And so I always tell people, because a lot of times when you talk about like the issues that integration created, it's a little hard for people to deal with that conversation, because everyone wants to believe that integration was the greatest thing that happened to us as a country. And so the way that I explain it, and since we're talking about economics, is when before Greece integrated into the European Union, they were in debt, right? But the level of debt that they went into dramatically increased when they joined the European Union, because now you can go spend money in countries you couldn't spend money before, because you had to convert your currency and go through all those things. And so what happens is Greece's financial structure began to completely dissipate. And this was back in 2013. So over the last 7 years, it has continued to do so because of the things that integration does. Like, it has its great moments and it is good for certain things, but you also have to deal with the fact that once you integrate, you start to neglect your things, because you can spend money, because you can interact, because you can do things that you weren't previously allowed to do. And Kat says, my grandparents had some land and a house all of us came to for holidays and everything, and they lost it due to gentrification. Now so many white people are moving in that neighborhood, and poor people are being kicked out. It frustrates me to no end. Yeah, gentrification is definitely a form of oppressive wealth, right? So if you go into these neighborhoods where people can barely afford to live, and you buy up the places and raise up the prices to where they can't afford to live. But this is after the property values have been driven down so low that it is beneficial for you to go in there and quote unquote clean it up. Britt says, it's such a shame that post-segregation, the black community has found it so hard to continue to invest in itself. Yeah, Greece is such a good example. Exactly. And it's always like the easiest one to explain to people because of how bad we know Greece's financial situation to have become. So with being self-reliant, question number 2 for everyone is, in what way have you become more self-reliant in 2020?
my knowledge for the things that I like. For instance, y'all know I like coffee. I am absolutely obsessed with coffee. I love the science of coffee, the hows and whys, all that jazz. So I started reading and researching and talking and making connections with people who are in the coffee community. So I could learn how to roast at home. So I knew how to reach out and make connections with getting fresh beans, like fresh raw coffee beans. I learned, where it's sourced, where it's coming from, who it helps. So I could start buying directly. Like a lot of the coffee beans and the flavors that I like, I didn't realize came directly from Africa. And I'm sitting there going through American stuff, like and buying American brands, which are still being outsourced, but they're not, it's not trickled down the same way. So I'm like, if I could just buy directly, I'm able to roast and do stuff on my own. And then if I decide, you know what, I can do this professionally, I now know how to make that connection with Africa. I now know how to make those connections with the origins I want to reach out and be able to do this on myself. But also I could turn around and share the education stuff that I learned to someone else who wants to do the same thing. If that. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm like,
yeah, no, it makes sense. It
I'm
makes
like, wait,
sense.
am I rambling again?
No, I definitely agree with that. I think how I became more self-reliant is I feel like this year I was able to be less hard on myself, and if I didn't know something and really go seek out the knowledge, because I felt like this year I opened up to learn, to ask for questions and learn things. Um, I think for me is I really want to do a lot more things on my own. So when I was able to, like Grayson said, to reach out to people and get information, so I'm learning for myself what I want to do. It really, really helped me just become a stronger person. Right? I'm sorry. Dang it, of who I am. And I'm sorry, y'all. I broke. She broke me. Okay, she broke me. I'm sorry. Anywho, uh, yeah, you know what you did. Yes. I don't think YouTube saw it, but the whole YouTube did. Um, I lost my train of thought. Someone tell me the last thing I said, please. I'm so sorry. I apologize. No one remembers what I said. No. Okay.
It was like you were like I can't even remember when you said something because it felt like you were laughing for so long. Like I'm sorry.
The last thing I remember that you said is that you learned how to basically go look for stuff on your own, and then that was it.
Okay.
I'm at there looking for the banner that says, warning, there's a Sid moment happening. And I realized this isn't even my stream, so I can't even click that button.
Right, I did have a full on sit moment, and I deeply apologize. To sum up what what I think I was going to say, I don't know if I really said it. It's just learning to, I guess, I trusted myself a lot more, and I learned to communicate with myself, and that's what helped me throughout 2020. I certain times when I wanted to just give up, and I don't want to say like basically I kind of wanted to rely on people to do stuff for me, and I just learned how to do it myself. I think that is what helps. Definitely with the reflection, reflection is one of the main things that helps. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm sorry for disturbing the stream. My apology.
I'm sorry for being a distraction. I probably should have smiled or laughed. I apologize. I'm sorry, Sid. To answer the question, my siblings have just reminded me, because I actually was sitting here and I was just like, I don't know. Have I been self-reliant? I feel like I've been self-reliant the majority of my life, but I'm not sure. But anyways, they reminded me that I basically, leave me alone, that I basically learned how to format my book. Even though it's not perfect, I now know the ins and outs and what to do and what not to do. So for the next book, it'll be better, even though hopefully next time I have a formatter, but that's beside the point. And then I did, even though my siblings helped me, mostly Cash, and because I didn't know the other two yet, but they were there and helped me edit my own book. And then I did my own hardcover. I have a hardcover done from a book. And then I did do a fan fiction contest. And I feel like there's some other things that I did that was kind of self-reliant on, but that's beside the point. Let's keep going.
Oh my. B.O.B. is black owned business, Brit. But Brit says economically I'm still a trash citizen of Amazon Empire, but I do want to buy black more in 2021. I have a bit this year, but not as much as I'd want. I wish there was a list serve. There are I'll have to send you some because like I know like there's a few like Twitter threads or Instagram threads or stuff with like a long list of them. And also says, I'm there with you, Britt. I bought more from black owned businesses, but that should be increased. Yeah, so for me, I would say I focused a lot more in design this year than I have previously, and like learning concepts of it and trying to like understand typography and things like that. So that's definitely been something that I have become more self-reliant on. And honestly, I will say this YouTube channel, right? Like it is a part of me working to get to a point where I'm no longer like someone who has to live off of like disability because of how bad my health is. Like this is potentially like a way for me to be able to move away from that lifestyle. So in the ability to be able to like monetize this year, like that's been one way that I've done that. But even in saying that, like I realize that there is a lot of like fear in becoming self-reliant, right? Like there's a lot of fear in like, can I do this? Is this the right move? Will I be able to like catch a wave and like get where I need to get, or what happens? And so in 2021, how do you plan to combat that fear?
Just do it. I mean, honestly, there's no other way, because the more I keep thinking about what's stopping me from doing things I want to do, my first thought is, can I make a living off of that? You know, is that enough to pay rent? Is that enough to do this? What if I mess up? And I'm going through so many different things. And again, the first person I talk to when anything business related is my dad, because he owned his own business before. The only thing I stopped that was 9/11, because he dropped everything to go overseas and fight. And he's like, you don't think every person who owned a business had that fear? He's like, there is so much fear. He's like, you have to understand like what's being put on the line. He said, but right now you're in a great position because you don't have children. You don't own a home. So you don't have things that are going to be like easily taken away or that are attached to you. He goes, you can move to an apartment that's cheaper. You could like you have things you're able to do because you don't have those other attachments right now. He's like, so your risk is nowhere near as big as some other people's risks. He's like, so you're actually easier able to move when it comes to this. He's like, the main thing is when it comes to business, especially owning your own, you just have to jump in. You have to dive in. That water looks scary. It's always going to look scary. And that is fine. He goes, you dive in. And if you make a mistake, guess what? That's something you learned that you could pass on to someone else saying, hey, guess what? I messed up here and here. Here's how I learned to get over that. He's like, every business owner is learning stuff all the time, and they're making mistakes all the time, but that's what makes them stronger, especially when they learn how to get over that. He's like, but you're never alone. There's always someone else who's been in your position. You always just turn around and go, hey, who else, has been through this? What can help? He's like, so you're constantly learning. He said, you're constantly learning. There's never going to be a point where you're going to be super confident and super like, oh, I got this and everything's good. He's like, no, there's always going to be a little fear like, ooh, what's next? And he goes, and you know what you do? You take your next step. You have to. He said, you take your next step and you keep going. He said, and don't worry about, oh, well, so-and-so's doing it this way. He said, don't compare yourself. There's no comparison because your business. No one can run your business the way you run your business. He goes, you just have to dive in. So my first thought is, honestly, I'm just going to dive in for 2021.
I love it. Before one of the rest of you gets to answer, we got like comments jumping in. So Hannity has joined us and said, I learned the ins and outs of storytelling, which is different from writing. Whenever I write now, I can pinpoint the problems honestly. That is awesome. And hello, everyone. And then Becca says, that is amazing advice. I would definitely agree with that. Jabria joining us. Again, at work, so just stopping by for a sec to show some love. We appreciate it.
Hey, Jabria. Hey, Hannah.
And Hannity says, and self-care. I'm learning to slow down and listen to my needs more. So I want to speak on this really quickly because we define wealth a lot of times as monetary. And I don't think we look at health as a form of wealth because it is, right? The longer that you are able to live and be productive, the more capabilities you have to be able to make money, right? To be able to grow. So your health is just as, if not more important than anything else that you have commodity wise. And I think that we live in a society that pushes people to just be productive constantly without taking into effect what that does to their bodies. And I think that Hannity bringing up like the self-care and needing to slow down and listen, I think that plays a big part in how we grow our economic wealth as people. Because if we're living longer, we're able to do more, right?
Just jumping off of that, we are so pushed and so conditioned to work, 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 work. You have to constantly be doing something, or you're a failure, or you're not contributing to anything, or you're not worth anything. We have to get that mindset. Like, we have to kill that mindset because that is affecting your health and your mental health. So you really, really do need to listen to your body. Like, oh, I could push myself for a couple more hours and get some more done. But it's also like, how about you rest that body? So when you dive back in to do something, you're fully there, you're fully charged, you're good to go. Some people will be like, I could eat now, but I need to do this and this. It's like, no, stop and eat. Stop and have that water. Get up and take that walk. Because you're going to push yourself stressed out to the point where you can't do anything. And then what? Yeah, you drink that water. But no, like, we're so conditioned to go, 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 go. And that was beat into me so bad. And again, my mom and my dad turned around and were like, no. Because my mom is actually a great example of that. She's that type of person who was up and going at all times, doing a lot of things. Because not only was she working full time, she was in school, she was taking care of the home, she was also volunteering and getting stuff done. And she felt like she always had to be in the run. Now she was kind of forced to sit down because her health just like crashed. And she's like, honestly, I really should have taken care of myself more. I should have paused more. Because now I can't do even a fraction of the things I did before. She's like, so she's a big person like, hey, please take that rest. If you need a nap, go take that nap. If you need to get up and walk away, get up and walk away. Don't force yourself to keep going. Please take care of yourself because whatever you're trying to do will be there. But you need to be there to be able to accomplish the things you're trying to do.
And if you don't stop, your body will stop you. Like, that is definitely a thing. So the last question for Sid and Talibo were about conquering that fear of self-reliance going into 2021.
I'm gonna piggyback off what Grace said and just say, just do it. So there are okay, right? So another thing that happened in 2020, I'm just gonna bring it up briefly. So I started a YouTube channel, and this is I have a point. You ready? It's gonna get into 2021. I promise. Just it's a roller coaster. So I was just like, okay, I see all these people on YouTube. They just put out videos, right? I knew I wanted to do like just post videos, but I knew I didn't want to join a community. I just wanted to post videos. And if anyone has seen my first two videos, they were really, really rough. The first one, it was just edited very weird, and it's like a watermark banner. And then my second video was just like the whole video with me. It was like a raw footage. The question I asked myself was, what do you have to lose? Because oftentimes than not, when you want to go do something, you're just trying to figure out what could stop you. And I feel like in 2021, I know we always say new year, new me, but use it when you do like a new year. It's a refresher for you. You get to move forward. So any self doubts that you have, you should just let it go. I mean, don't let it go. Keep those in because it can keep you motivated. But just like don't let it be in the forefront. Just always reach for what you want. There's always gonna be the naysayers. There's always gonna be the people to support you. And you're gonna have your own little demons. But I just say, just start it, because you never know what's gonna happen. You don't know where it's gonna lead. Because I didn't know I would gain 4 siblings along the way. Ooh, I just heard my phone. I'm sorry, I heard it too. But that so just go for it. Go for everything. Just do it. Do it. Okay, that's it.
Boy, if you ever say it like that ever again.
I'll do it after the live stream.
Big sis, on to you. I was like, oh, you're like, bye.
I meant to unmute myself. I meant to unmute myself, and the thing was still on the camera. I'm sorry. I mean, everybody said just do it. I'm just gonna admit, and I'm just gonna be scared of 2021 because 2020 was already scary. So I'm just gonna sit there and poke it with a stick, and if it feels safe, then I'm gonna go ahead and jump in and do what I gotta do. I ain't even gonna sit here and lie. 2020 was rough for me, so I'm just gonna go into 2021 with like a toe in the pool. We'll see what happens.
Not poking with a stick though.
Hannity says yes, they push you until you drop. I feel like I read this. I can't remember. Britt said, to some extent, being a writer is its own business. For me, planning is paramount. Timing it to my completion of grad school. Yeah, I do definitely agree that being a writer is its own business. You definitely are a product that you are constantly trying to convince people to buy. So, and then Britt and even wealth as a means of productivity, there's emotional richness as well. Time with your family, moments to create, wisdom to share, purpose over productivity is true wealth. I agree. Henny says, I feel that I'm a mom and schooling full time. And yes, the crash is real. She also says, I never did understand the new year, new me business. Wouldn't new year, better me be more productive and honest?
Facts. I definitely agree with that.
You will.
I know, but
Oh, okay. I missed that. I didn't know. So the obligation of generosity. It works not simply to be generous to the poor and vulnerable, but ultimately to end their poverty and vulnerability so that they too can live a decent, undeprived, and meaningful life. And so this basically is more so that it's not that we just want to give money to the homeless when we see them on the corner or go to a soup kitchen and feed them, but we are working towards the purpose of there not needing to be soup kitchens for homeless because we're eradicating that issue itself. And I think that there is something to be said about like the fact that there are people in America that go hungry, but then there are farmers who are paid not to farm. So it's like, could we not be creating food for those people? Like, what makes it so that it's better for them not to feed these people than it isn't? And so, with that, in what way can you be more generous in 2021?
One of my goals when it comes to, like I said, I want to dive into coffee. I want to stream more on Twitch with my gaming and do my writing. One of the things I want to do is make sure I can gather resources and use those resources towards the Black queer community. So many times, especially kids who come out and are supported by the family, they're kicked out. And these kids are still young. I'm talking like 18, 19, early 20s, who don't have enough money to get a house and things like that. And they're in a dangerous situation because they are queer. And they're not able to get to where they need to do. So one of the things I want to do is be able to help them get a place, help them to safely get rides to and from work, help them to get like what are those called nowadays? I can't remember what they're called. I want to say the track phones. Do they still have track phones? I think
I feel like I've seen them at Walmart.
Okay, so hopefully get something like track phones, and I say that because you could, the getting minutes for that is pretty cheap. So to help them get started, at least get a leg up, so they can start being stable, and then turn around and start helping someone else to do the same thing. So at least they can get to where they need to be safely and start to grow and thrive. So that's one thing I really want to focus on, because that was kind of something I had to go through when I first came out, and I was 16, 17. For a while, I didn't have a place to go. And that was horrifying. The good thing is I'm blessed with so many friends, and, I was able to go back to my family. But it's like there are those who cannot. And it's so scary nowadays, because when I'm looking at, there was 40 plus Black men and women in the queer community who were killed this year. And a lot of them were so young, who didn't have anywhere to go, who didn't have a stable phone to call anyone, who didn't have enough money to get into a hotel for the night. So it's like I want to make sure that I can put back into the community and make sure they have these things so they can get to where they need to be and start to thrive. So that's one of the things I really want to do in 2021, is start to establish and start to build resources so I can reach out and help that community this way.
I will personally be taking a page out of Cachet's video. And one thing I would do to be more generous is I've had the mindset, I'm not going to say the mindset was that money fixes all, but like give money where needed. Until I watched the Cachet's video, and it was, I can be more generous by talking to people. Oftentimes and not, someone just needs an ear. Someone just needs someone just to talk to vent to build a bond or relationship with. So for me, I know in 2021, I just want to be better with communication for myself, and then also reach out to people just to talk with, because, oftentimes or not, people are blessed with a nice family, are blessed with friends, and, you just want to be there for people just to talk with them. So I want to give people a lot more time and energy by being vocal with them. And that's how I want to be more generous, because I think that can help so many people.
I'm in Germany, and I probably would have to start just giving to like foundations, or just putting money aside until I get back home and start giving, because here they're not too keen on, first of all, I haven't seen many homeless or people really in need, and two, they're really not too keen on you giving. They kind of want to give you that permission to do it, so you can't just go out and just start giving to people. So I probably just have to put money to the side, or either just start donating to certain foundations and stuff. So, but I want to do something.
Right.
Also, another thing I want to do is work on peer support, which is something I already did, but very quietly and only to a few people. But because I know my main thing is resources to help people, but also I want to help with mental health as well. So I do want to offer peer support, and then teach others the same things I learned with peer support, so they can turn around and pass that to others as well. So we can help to support each other and build each other and heal each other while trying to work and thrive and all that jazz.
I love all of these. Okay. And then Eva joined us. Hello. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you had a great holiday time. Hey, CB, nice to see you as well. Hope you had a great holiday time. And Britt says, yes, radical generosity. What is the root of disenfranchisement? Get it that right. I completely understand. Like we focus on the wrong things way too often. And Eva says, yes, she says, I've actually been budgeting my generosity to plan it more than do it impulsively. I've begun this method this year, but the budgeting part is new. This change is coming because upon looking at my generosity of 2019 and 2020, I realized two things. I gave more than I realized we could, and I did not always vet the recipients. Now I vet. I think that's very, very important, because you cannot pour into everybody, right? And I mean, we know that just in the fact of who we choose to buy books from, right? Like, we choose not to buy books from certain people because we don't want to support that. So when you are pouring into people, especially when you're trying to do it from the kindness of your heart, that is a very personal thing. And so you need to be very careful of who you are pouring your heart into. CB says, due to the pandemic, I have not been allowed to have my care when I am supposed to. I have therefore having to be self-reliant in that situation. Mostly self-reliant. I rely on AC/DC and Bon Jovi. All right now. Kat says, I was gone for a bit. My dad was talking to me and we ended up having a discussion on the first prompt y'all had. Now I'm back. Nice. Nice. CB says, being Catholic, I contribute to the collections when I'm able to get to church, that is. Okay, so like tithes and offerings. Britt says, I give it church as well. For me, thinking about daily generosity, I always want to think about what I can offer and emotional resources. Time, an ear, a shoulder, advice. I love it. Hannity says, externally to be more consistent with the people I care about, internally to believe in myself more and building myself up, train my mentality to be confident. I like that. I like that a lot.
I like that.
I really like that. And Eva says, I'm excited to volunteer, but until isolation ends, I'm not even looking into opportunities. Don't want to set myself up for missed plans before I can really make them. This has been really big for me, especially because I live in a college town, so I'm so used to volunteering physically in places. And so it has been really different not being able to go out and like help people with my hands, right? And I think it's interesting what we could do now in terms of volunteer with what COVID is. So I'm interested to see what that looks like over 2021. CB says, I'm on welfare myself, otherwise I would be more willing to contribute where possible. I'm going to say my aunt that if my cousin needs someone to talk to while school is closed, she can call me. And Britt says, you cannot point to everyone. Facts, responsible generosity. And Eva says, I think it's important to note that financial generosity is one small version. If your own home life is not stable, guilt should not come from inability to give financially. I completely agree with this. I feel like, again, when we think of wealth, we think of money. And when we think of being generous, we think of giving money. But there are so many other things, right? So like I love watching book unhauls and people put books together and go give them to libraries or take them to daycare centers or high schools or things like that. I think those are awesome. I think just being able to I think one of the biggest things for me is being able to have conversations with people that don't surround yourself, right? So you're having a conversation with someone and you let them talk. You let them tell you about what's going on around them. Like you try to be generous in the fact that you are open to someone else talking about themselves and teaching you about them. Like it takes a level of generosity to get to the point where you're allowing other people to have the space to be themselves. And I think that that is something else that we could look into like doing in 2021. CB says, it's difficult for someone like me to find volunteering positions, particularly without any experience. I know one of my favorite ones, which I am going to see if we can do it in 2021, is I love going to the animal shelters and playing with the dogs. Like I love like going and taking dogs on walks and things like that. Like I have my two here, but because these two are like mixed breeds that I got from people, like it means a lot to me to be able to go and walk dogs that are sitting in kennels all day and don't get a lot of love or attention, things like that. So on cooperative economics, what other thoughts do you guys have?
I know for me, like again, it all goes back to me again with coffee, video games, stuff like that. When it comes to my streaming and building that up, when I'm reaching out, making connections, I am reaching out to Black creative groups. And that is a little harder to do because, again, on Twitch, Black creative groups are hard to find. And it is easier to find someone else who's not Black, who has more wealth and success, who's getting more brand deals, stuff like that, because that will help you get a leg up. But it's like, I'm not doing it to get a leg up. I want to literally link with people and create with people and both build each other up. So that's one thing I'm looking towards more Black creative groups with that. And when it comes to me doing anything coffee-wise, to find more Black coffee makers and Black roasters to link up with and to build with. So I'm looking towards doing things like that instead of immediately reaching for the easier option.
I can definitely agree with that. I think for me, I kind of said it in my video that's coming up today, later on today, and I kind of said it earlier. It's just if you have the same idea as someone, join in together. Like two heads are better than one. You feel me? So I feel like with like, because I don't want to spoil nothing because there's a lot of things I want to do, so I'm trying to say nothing, you know what I mean? But it's just like I'm reaching out to other Black people to be like, yo, this is the idea that I have. How can we do this together? How can we make it happen? So that way I'm eating and you're eating and then other people can eat. You feel me? So you feel me? Oh wow, this got anywho. I just feel like when you come together with people, I feel like collaborations just in general to put yourself out there, it could be such a beautiful thing. And that is something that I personally think of like all the time when it comes to collaborative economics. There we go. Whew, that was so hard to say.
I guess the only thing I can think to say is, because Grayson and Sid kind of took the good ones, is that basically be passionate about what you're doing. Because unfortunately, a lot of times our people have a tendency to go into a business or start a business that they have no passion in because they feel like it's going to make them rich quick. We definitely need to think like the core values, like, first of all, why are you starting this business? Is this your passion? And two, is it going to be able to give back to the community, or are you getting ready to take it and hoard it and just try to get rich off of it? Like, your values definitely need to be in order before you start anything. I'm done.
Awesome. So as we finish up, I would love for people to drop a Black-owned business for people to check out in the comments. Drop that name. If you have to drop a link and you need to message to me on like Instagram so I can put it in the chat, or do like the name space.com, whatever you got to do, drop it in the chat so that people can go show them some love. And then, okay, so we have Eva and CB talking about being able to volunteer. And CB says, I'm going to be more generous with my prayers. Hey, I think if we were all more generous with our prayers and encouraging words to other people, this world would be a much better place. So I agree with Eva. That's a great thing. Britt says, I think the key is cooperative, and fundamental to that is trust. White culture teaches distrust of Blackness, and even when we learn that, and even we learn that, so we don't want to work with each other, as Sid is suggesting. I do think that that does come into play, specifically when people expect more from a small Black-owned business than they would from its white counterpart. Like, there are things that you have to keep into balance and in perspective. Like, I know that there are a lot of like arguments about, Black-owned businesses don't do this or don't do that, and that's not at all what we're trying to focus on. So yeah, y'all go ahead and drop those Black-owned businesses in the chat, and I will let my co-host do their outros.
Big sis, would you like to go first, or?
I am the Naked Firefly, author of The Healer's Love, and I write under the name Kiera L. Rose. Follow me on all social media and subscribe to my channel, as well as if you want to sign up for my Patreon and see what's going on with the stories that I'm not actually selling, but all the stories that I'm selling there are not selling, but they're posting there. And I think tomorrow we're doing my stream. Yes. Okay, I'm done.
What up, everybody? My name is Grayson Wild, and I write with pride. I like diving into fantasies and in the warm mugs of coffee. Honestly, I learned a lot today, and I'm really, really excited to apply that to what I'm trying to do. So I want to thank y'all for joining, because I really enjoyed today's talk. And on to you, little bro.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Sister Pack, and I am the younger brother of all my lovely siblings on this stream. I write fantasy, and I am an overall distraction with said moments. I don't know what else to say. I cannot wait to do tomorrow's live stream. I think it's going to be so much fun. Ooh, excuse me. And I just distracted myself, so I don't know how. But yeah, I have a YouTube channel. You can follow if you like.
I got excited. I was like, books and crannies. I want to check this out. Let me go ahead and right click this link and open in a new tab. I can look once we get off this screen. Okay, so said We Buy Black. It's a website that offers products from various other black businesses. Britt says Dianu, I don't sure if I'm saying it right, but they do have some dope patterns. Like, I've already been like eyeing what I want to get when my money is right. Like, I have been eyeing their stuff. And so Becca said Book and Crannies is a fantastic black-owned indie bookstore. I've ordered so many books from there. Definitely check that out. One I dropped was Melanin Eclectic. She is a booktuber. She's part of the planning community. I follow her on YouTube and Instagram, and like she has like black mermaids and like these black sisters, and they're nurses and they're doctors, and they're in their winter clothes, and like she sells stickers, and she has a 2021 reading journal that's coming out, a reading planner that's coming out in January. So like just definitely check her stuff out. Like, I promise you're gonna love it. Eva says Patreon written in melanin is my recommendation. That's awesome. And Outer Space Cat thanks a lot for the stream. It was really informative. All right, you guys, want to thank you so very, very much for being here again for day 4 of Kwanzaathon. It is Ujamaa Cooperative Economics, which means to build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. So I do want to thank everybody for being here. Our videos will drop later today, and tomorrow will be hosted by the lovely Naked Firefly. I'm not like down pointing her. Let me use my fingers instead of my thumb so y'all don't think I'm like booing her or some stupid stuff. And I do want to let everybody know that on Thursday we will be having a vision board live stream. So come ready to write your, put your pictures and draw and whatever you're going to do for your vision board. So that will be what we do on Thursday on my channel. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then Britt says, cannot wait to get a book journal from there when they re-up a journal. Yeah, I'm like ready for when she makes that announcement. I'm buying one like immediately. And thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you being here. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye.